Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another week of Tech Support Live. We're a little short-staffed this week, but we're still here, ready to help you guys. Excited to interact with you guys in chat, hear what your issues are, help you out. For anybody who's new to the stream, my name's Alec. I'm an interactive media specialist at NETGEAR, which means I do a lot of photo, video, and graphic design for social media and for web. And with me, I have Michael and Darren, if you guys want to introduce yourselves.
Darren, you go first.
Yeah, I'm Darren. I'm a technical support specialist. I'm also a community moderator and here to help with any technical questions that you may have today.
And hey, everyone. I'm Michael. I'm technical marketing manager, and I spent a lot of time managing reviews as well as playing with a lot of NETGEAR products. So I'm here to help you out with any problems you have.
There you go. Michael's got the cool lab back at the office with all of his fun routers and switches and everything. Well, cool.
Yep.
Looks like we already had some questions while we were in the loading screen. So thank you guys so much for asking those. We'll jump right in. If there's any lulls, we'll just talk about state of the industry, working from home, so on and so forth. But to get started, we have Shady Joker 1, who is asking, I have the Nighthawk, and it's the Xfinity X5 router with modem. Does that mean I can't use my Nighthawk anymore? I don't know too much about that particular. I think what he was kind of alluding to was he has the X5 gateway and he wants to attach a Nighthawk to it. And I'm not familiar with that specific product, but I do believe that you can put it into modem mode, more or less, and just deactivate the router on it, and then you can plug in your Nighthawk router as though you were just plugging it into a modem. I don't know if you're familiar with that product, either of you guys.
I'm not, but I took a quick look at it, and yeah, basically it's just a gateway. So he could go in, put it into bridge mode, and then attach the router. He also should be able to attach the router directly to it. And unless he has any software that has problems with double natting, he could just plug the Nighthawk router into it. If possible, turn off the Wi-Fi on the X5 gateway, and he'd be ready to go.
Yeah, so give that a shot. That's definitely worth doing for your setup. Typically, gateways don't have as good of as much strength or performance as a standalone modem and a standalone router. So if you're able to kind of separate your router from it, you'll typically get better performance. Cool. Oh, and then also, anybody in the chat, just a heads up. We, on Tuesday, announced all the features for the upcoming release of Doom OS 3, which I personally am very excited for. I think all of us are XR owners, right? You haven't, I know you do, Darren, but I think you are as well, Michael, right?
Yep, I've got one connected to my network.
Well, there you go. So we did unveil all the features for that. So I know in the past, we often get questions about the XR routers and Doom OS that we can't answer because it's kind of under wraps. But if anybody has any questions about Doom OS 3 or anything about the XR routers that we previously haven't answered, we could do that now. So cool.
That brings them up to the same level.
I think somebody's got some background noise. It's no big deal. Okay, so next question is this person, Dan, is asking about the X6 R8000 latest firmware. Over the past year, the router will reboot randomly about once a week. Any suggestions?
Yeah, it's on the latest firmware and it's randomly rebooting. Once a week, that's really hard to actually nail down what the cause is because it is such a long time period. One thing you can do, though, is do a factory reset on it just to be sure that when it had the latest firmware installed, it wasn't carrying over some information from the previous firmware that may randomly cause some problems.
Gotcha.
Darren, do you have any other suggestions?
Yeah, maybe check to see if your modem is rebooting at the same time, around the same time as the router from the ISP. Sometimes a router will try to reboot itself to reconnect. And they also think it could be a heat issue. Maybe it's rebooting because it's getting too hot at a random time. Make sure you have good airflow to the router. It can get good air and stay cool.
Yeah, that was going to be my exact suggestion, Darren, was
Yep.
the heat thing. I know that that's a common issue. A lot of our routers don't have fans. I mean, typically routers just don't at all. I think the 700 has a fan, doesn't it? It might.
Not the 700. I think the 9000 might have a fan.
Got it.
But normally with all the home routers, because you want them to be as quiet as possible in a home environment, all they have is they have a lot of large heat sinks on them, which are good enough to actually keep them cool unless they end up in an enclosed area where the external heat just starts building up over time. A week, though, that's a fairly long period of time to have it trip because of heat.
Yeah. So some suggestions. Just for any of our newer viewers, we do this for 2 hours. So if we give you a suggestion here at the beginning of the stream and you want to try out whatever we suggested and follow up with us, we'll be here for 2 hours. So you're welcome to do that. But moving on, I have a question from Kevin Hart. Got a celebrity in the chat. I have the Orbi Wi-Fi 6 with AT&T fiber. I put the AT&T router through IP pass-through. In the modem, it has DHCP lease time of 10 minutes by default. Should I have it at that or extend the time? So that's his first question. Any suggestions for that?
Yeah, I would say just leave the DHCP lease time at that amount of time. That isn't actually how long the IP lease is available. Otherwise, it would be kicking out a new IP address every 10 minutes. That's the amount of time that between its requesting for a new IP. Most of the time, the DHCP lease times are in days or even up to a week or more. So there's no reason to actually change that setting.
Gotcha. Okay. And then his second question is he had an AC3000 Orbi and it had NETGEAR Armor. Will the Orbi Wi-Fi 6 get that functionality? It already has that functionality, correct?
I know that we're releasing it. I'm not sure which ones have it right now, but yes, we're definitely rolling that out onto the all of our Wi-Fi 6 systems, including the Orbi.
Yeah, just for some assurance, Kevin, we are focusing on Armor a lot right now. We just did a stream yesterday that was about Armor. We had Jay, the chief security researcher from Bitdefender, come on and talk to us about state of the industry and Armor and all that. So it's a really big focus for us. So if something doesn't already have Armor and it's one of our newer products that we're still rolling out updates for, there's a pretty solid chance that it'll be getting Armor. We really want to expand that because we've seen a lot of high demand for it, and it's in a world where you're getting more and more IoT devices and they're vulnerable. It's a really good solution. So hopefully that gives you some assurance that you'll be able to get Armor. Let's see. We have a returning viewer, Gabriel, one of our regulars. Welcome to the chat, Gabriel. Hope your network's running smoothly. If you have any questions, we're here for you. All right. Does the new OS support Nighthawk AC 2600 X4S R7800 model? If you're referring to my comment about Duma OS, no, it will not. Unfortunately, Duma OS is only for our gaming routers, which are going to be all the XR routers. So if you have an XR500, an XR300, or an XR700, you'll be able to get that functionality. But we really only put those on the gaming routers because we want to kind of have it in its lane more or less, and it's a really, really solid way for us to label it a gaming router and actually justify it. I think something that a lot of people kind of misjudge about gaming products in general is that it just has a logo slapped on it. And while we do have logos on our gaming routers, there is an associated actual usable feature. Well, features plural. And so we want to keep that on the gaming router so that we can kind of maintain that brand. But yeah, anything to add to that, guys?
Nope, that's pretty much it. It's basically, it has an entire admin OS overlay that's specifically designed for adjusting features that gamers would be interested in. Latency, ping, everything that you'd think about being a gamer, you can actually control within the OS. And normally with most people in their standard routers, they're not as worried about what their ping rate is, for instance.
Right. Hey, Michael, do you think you could stop your video and then start it back up? There's a bit of lag.
Absolutely.
I think it might rearrange the screen a little bit. I might have to change the name tags around. But okay, cool.
Okay, so how's that?
It's a little better. Let me just.
If you want, I can change my background. Maybe that's what's causing it.
Maybe. I'm just gonna move your guys' names around here. Everybody can see me dragging the name tags around. Oops. Don't mind the production here. All right. Well, while I'm doing this, let's go ahead and get that next question. Another one from Shady Joker here. I'm a gamer and have a Nighthawk. I use my Xbox One X the most. What can I do to get the most strength to my Xbox One X? Well, I wish Ben was here because Ben is the king of reducing ping. But something he always suggests every time when it comes to Xboxes is,
let's see if it's the same thing that I'm thinking of.
changing the settings from IPv4 to IPv6. He always says that.
Yep.
That tends to be a really good solution for connectivity on your Xbox. But I'm sure there's a bunch of other ways aside from just that, including QoS. What else besides that would you suggest?
Well, I don't know the Xbox One X specifically, but if it supports the 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi band, then you definitely want to be connected up to 5 gigahertz to get the faster speed. If it's turning out that just the general strength from your router, your Xbox One X is low, then you want to be on the 2.4 because that's at least going to get you the farthest distance. But if you can go on the 5 gigahertz, that'll give you the fastest speeds that you're going to have wirelessly. And obviously, if you could wire the Xbox One X directly into your network instead of using Wi-Fi, that'll reduce the latency completely because you're actually wired in.
Exactly. That's always what we suggest for gaming is in the scenario where you can hardwire it, it's always best. Plus, you're also taking something off of the airwaves within your home, which is just going to free up more space for your other devices. Also,
opening the correct ports for Xbox so you get better connections to the servers that Xbox is using.
Definitely. I was going to mention port forwarding, but I don't know too much about it, so leave that to you guys.
Well, yeah, if you need to port forward from your router, the best thing to do first is do a Google search on your Xbox and ports. And there's a lot of articles that'll tell you exactly what ports need to be forwarded. And then from there, you would need to actually go into your router and go into the port forwarding settings. And in there, you would put in the specific ports that need to be forwarded, and then the IP address of your gaming box. And that way, anything that comes in on those ports automatically gets pushed over to your gaming box. And there's a lot of articles on the net that tells you exactly the steps to go through to actually do port forwarding.
Gotcha. Yeah, I remember when I was a kid and I was like 7, 8 years old, I was playing Modern Warfare 2 and I was like, how can I get my ping to be lower? And I watched like a YouTube tutorial on port forwarding. Never understood it, but I followed the tutorial and it seemed to help. So definitely worth a Google search. See if you can figure that out as well.
Well, an easy way to kind of envision what port forwarding is doing is, like, let's say you're looking at a wall that has 4 doors and information is coming through the various doors, and then there's 4 people in the room. if you do port forwarding on one of those doors, which is information coming through, and say everything that comes in on door number 1, I want to go over to Bob. And so that way it always goes straight over to him instead of the system having to figure out who is this supposed to go to.
That makes sense.
And so it's just a way to kind of speed things up, make it a lot easier for the system.
That's best explanation I've ever heard. There you go. Thank you.
And that was off the top of my head.
Maybe next time we'll have like a Microsoft Paint window open so we can like draw a little diagram for
exactly.
you. Okay. Yep. We have a hot question that we can't fully answer, but we'll give a little context. Can you please tell us if you guys are going to be making a NetDuma Wi-Fi 6 router? Can't say. We can't talk about products that are in development or on a roadmap or anything, but some assurance. We are aware of the high demand for that. We do recognize that the whole NPG line is on Wi-Fi 5, so it's in here. It's all in the mind. We're thinking about it. A question from Paul. The R9000 and the XR700 devices have the exact same hardware. Is that true or false? So that, to my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, that is true. All of the NPG routers are built off of the same infrastructure as other routers in our family. And there's multiple reasons for this. One, the hardware is already tested and it's proven to be consistent. So you're getting that kind of security of having a already tried and proven router. We kind of mentioned this earlier, but the main draw of the Nighthawk Pro Gaming routers is the software. And we did a stream on Tuesday talking all about the new software coming out and all the awesome features that you're going to get with that. And that is really the differentiation. Plus, they've got really cool designs. So it'll look really nice next to your Xbox. It's very gamerish. You get that gamer lifestyle aesthetic going on. So, to answer your question, yes. But you can't just buy an you can't just buy an R9000 and put Doom OS on it. It won't work.
Right. The actual coding stuff they put inside only allows, the R9000 firmware on the R9000, the XR700 firmware on the XR700. And there's reasons to choose one over the other. If you're a gamer, you definitely want to go with the XR700. If you're more techie, not doing the gaming as much, the R9000 may fit in for what you need better, because there are some features that you're not going to find on the XR700 that the R9000 has, only because it's more businessy design than it is gaming design. But they're both on the same hardware platform, and they're going to give you the same sort of overall performance without the additional tweaks that the XR700 has on adjusting things like buffer bloat and other ping features.
Right. Yeah, I gave my mom an R9000. It's pretty sick. It's got like blue LEDs on it.
Oh yeah, especially on the antennas, looks great.
Yeah, just to follow up on Paul, he sent another message. Not being able to add Doom OS to R9000 makes no sense. It does make sense. The software was not free for us to develop or license. So, obviously the XR700 is going to cost more, and that is the main selling point for it. If we just gave it away for free, then the NPG basically just dies as a brand. So, if you're not a gamer and you want that hardware of the XR700, you go with the 9000. You're just not going to get those features.
Yep.
Cool. So, we have a definitely a non-ALEC question here. I'm not going to be able to answer this one. I've got an ADSL NBN router modem combo with an NBN box setup by my internet service provider. Can I still use a Nighthawk XR500 or 700, or do I have no choice but to get an ADSL modem router combo?
On this, we definitely need the ADSL modem. If he was trying to replace the box that they have, and you need one that actually works with that service provider. The XR500 or 700 is just a router, and it has no modem functionalities, especially DSL functionalities. And ADSL is a very limited market right now. There's only some providers that are doing ADSL. So you do want to make sure that if you're going to be replacing your modem router combo, that you at least get an ADSL modem, and then you could connect the XR 500 or 700 up to that.
Gotcha. Yeah, we back when I first started at NETGEAR, we did a giveaway for XR 300, and the winner had a DSL router modem combo and wanted to upgrade his modem. So he got a DSL modem, just as you mentioned, and hooked up the XR 300 to it, and it worked just fine. So yeah, should work just fine if you get the right stuff.
Yeah, you just have to make sure that whatever DSL modem you get has been certified by your service provider to work with their service.
Exactly. All right. Similar question to what we've already answered from Ulaganath here, but would a Wi-Fi 6 based XR series router be coming? Like I said, we can't mention it, but we are aware of the demand for it. And then he mentioned Qualcomm already having a chipset for 6E, Wi-Fi 6E. This is a hot topic. It's in the news, Wi-Fi 6E. Personally, I don't know a whole bunch about it, but I'm sure one of you guys knows a lot about it. So what's kind of the state of Wi-Fi 6E, and what can we expect companies like NETGEAR to be doing with this new technology?
You probably won't be seeing 6E for quite a while because, as they even mentioned, it's not approved by Qualcomm yet. And that's going to take, probably anywhere from 12 to 18 months before you actually see it, qualified. Then the chip vendor actually starts creating a chip. Then you have to start putting those into systems. So in reality, 18 months at the earliest, probably 2 years before you start seeing clients that are using it. So at this point, it's more of a future product than anything that's going to be happening right now. But the news media always loves to talk about what's coming up in the future. And so that's why we're hearing about it. But it is going to take a long time before you start seeing that roll out.
There you go. Yeah. We started seeing articles about Wi-Fi 6 many years ago, and it's just now becoming kind of a standard in the industry. So just because there's a chip for it, it's still going to take a long time to actually reach the general market. But what's the main difference between 6 and 6E?
Oh, the big difference is that Wi-Fi 6 still uses the 5 gigahertz band, and 6E adds the 6 gigahertz bands in there as well. So it basically opens up more lanes of traffic that people can use. Because it's a higher frequency than 5, its range going through walls is probably going to be a little less, because as you go up in frequency, the harder it is for those signals to actually pass through objects. Since it's only going from 5 to 6, I don't expect there's going to be a huge degradation in signal, but you're definitely going to see the signal being less on the 6E than on the 5 if it's going through walls. Big addition, though, as I mentioned, is it's adding more bands that you can use more lanes of highway for traffic. So it opens up the highway so you'll have less congestion.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, there you go. That should address that topic. I know that's a hot topic. It's all over the news. Wi-Fi 6E, but it's a little overhyped right now. You can't quite get it. Question from Army Oft. I'm having issues with my XR700. I'm getting 500 megabytes down through the Ethernet port, but I'm getting 900 down on Wi-Fi directly, and on the modem, I'm getting 900 down. I'm assuming when he hardwires. What can I do to fix this? First kind of thought is your cable new? If you have a 20-year-old cable, these things do degrade over time. So you might have an old cable. It could be an issue on the receiving device. Maybe the Ethernet port is getting old. I mean, I don't know. What would you suggest, either of you guys?
Darren, didn't a question similar to this come up a few weeks ago? Do you happen to remember?
Yeah. This is the same person that asked last week. I think we were trying to get him the contact email to work with us on this issue. Maybe we need to look into it deeper. I don't know if you ever emailed us, but we can get you that email again.
Yeah, so we don't have Angelo in the control room this week, but I believe in the description here, if you open up the description of this stream, you can see how to submit a support ticket. So go ahead and do that, and let us know. You can follow up next week with us and let us know if we were able to help you out. But yeah, it's a weird situation. I really wouldn't have a solid answer unless we, sat down and tested multiple factors. Okay, question from Gabriel. Do you guys know why the EX7500 only has one firmware right now and no new updated firmware? We just haven't released a new update.
Right. They haven't created an update yet.
Hopefully soon, though.
Yeah, usually they're the updates get created if we run across particular bugs or there's features that they want to add. If there's a particular problem that you're having, then we can try to help you with that. But otherwise, updates normally only come, especially when you're talking about extenders, if there's a problem or a feature that they're trying to add into it. Basically, don't fix it if it already works.
Exactly. Cool. So yeah, we got a note from Christine in the chat. When you do submit that ticket, make sure you put hashtag stay connected in the title. It lets us know that you're a stream viewer, and it will expedite the process as a thank you for tuning into the stream and asking questions. Cool. So we have not so much a question, but a nice comment from Christopher here, who got an EX8000. Oh, this is a question. I think the question is, if I got an EX8000, can I make my speeds go faster? No. Well, yes and no. If you have a room in your house that isn't getting very good connection and you get an extender, it will make your speeds go faster in that room. But extenders are chained to your router. So if your router is getting low speeds and you put an extender on it, it's not going to be faster from that extender. Your bottleneck is going to be your router. So if you're unhappy with your speeds overall, getting an extender really isn't going to fix that.
Yeah, extenders, as you mentioned, are basically designed to increase the signal strength in areas where you're getting low signal from your router, and that's what's actually causing your speed to be low. Mm-hmm. If you're in the same room with your router and you're getting low speeds, then the extender, the best it can do is the low speeds that the router is doing. So it really depends on what's causing your low speed as to whether or not an extender is going to help or not.
Exactly. But if you have a big place, extenders are amazing. They really help out. Follow-up question from it looks like there's two Christophers in the chat. I got a little confused there. Which extender for a large house do you guys recommend for the RIA X120? Well, if you have an RX 120, you're on Wi-Fi 6, I would suggest ideally getting a Wi-Fi 6 extender. Obviously, those are more expensive, but if you really want to take advantage of that Wi-Fi 6 technology from your router in your extender, then you're going to want to get an EAX80. I believe that is our most expensive extender. If you don't want to ball out so much on your extender, the Wi-Fi 5 extenders are great as well. You have the X6S, the X6, X4, X4S. I think the X, like dollar best bang for your buck, I think the X6 is a great one. That's what we have included in the NPG bundle with the XR500. I think that one performs really well. What would you guys suggest to him?
Yeah, I think that's probably the best one. Yeah, you definitely want to make sure that you match that up with the Wi-Fi 6, because even if you don't have Wi-Fi 6 devices, between the extender and the router, they can still use that Wi-Fi 6 capability.
Totally. Yeah, totally. I think Wi-Fi 6, one of the biggest things for me is battery savings. I mean, if you have an iPhone 11 or a Galaxy S20 and you want to get some, batteries are a hot commodity in technology, getting the max life out of those. So, you know, just a thought.
Yep.
Cool. So that should answer that question. Army Oft said that he purchased all new cables and sent an email out, but I can send another. As a matter of fact, I sent it to the wrong email. Can you guys please post the email? So I don't have the email on hand.
Yeah. It's NETGEAR team at netgear.com.
Okay, so
we can't post it because Angela isn't here. I think a bot filters all that out when you try to post it.
Yep.
Let me add a little text field here. Can you say that again?
NETGEAR team at netgear.com.
NETGEAR team at netgear.com.
And use hashtag stay connected.
Cool. Okay. So that's the email. I'll put it right here underneath my name so you guys can see it. So that's the email you'll want to use, and then put hashtag stay connected in the title. And we have Christine, one of our support managers, in the chat, so we can help you out pretty quickly. Cool. So question from Ulaganath: does current AX support HT160 on both AC and Wi-Fi 6 concurrent usage?
Yep, and the answer is yes. The 6E based routers would be supporting both 6 and 5 gigahertz. In fact, all routers tend to be backward compatible to all the previous Wi-Fi standards. So the Wi-Fi 5 supports all the way back to Wi-Fi 1, and the Wi-Fi 6 will do everything from Wi-Fi 6 all the way back. They always want to make sure that it's backward compatible so your legacy devices can still actually work. And does the current AX support HT160 on both the AC and the Wi-Fi 6? Would have to look, but it should, because the HT160 actually started out on Wi-Fi 5. So most likely yes, but would have to look at the particular model to make sure.
Gotcha. Hopefully that answers that question. We love some complex questions for Michael. All right. So this is a follow-up on the NAS comment, question from R. Somel, sorry if I butchered your name. I tried to aggregate the 2 ports, but constantly am getting a put name plus 14 error, and it crashes. Then I need to hard reset. Firmware is the latest version. Any ideas? I am not a NAS expert, so.
And that actually goes beyond the NAS functionality portion. That's actually getting down into the code in a particular error that's coming up. I would definitely recommend going over to the ReadyNAS team, and also the NETGEAR ReadyNAS forums are a great place to put that sort of question, because I have no idea what the put name plus 14 error is.
Yeah, that's
and actually, if you're getting that error, it might even be the switch that's causing that.
Yeah, so having that depth of understanding of what the error message is, that's great. We're just not going to know. Us personally aren't going to know the answer, but you know, we have a whole team of ReadyNAS engineers. I'm sure they would be more familiar with that. So.
Yep. And actually, I just did a quick Google search on that, and if you do a Google search on ReadyNAS put NAM plus 14, you'll see multiple notes on it, and there is one specifically in the NETGEAR community forum about that crash and a solution to it.
Cool. Well, hopefully that helps out. We don't have Angela here to put the link in the chat, but I'm sure you'll be able to find it if you do a Google search like Michael did. So, cool. We have a nice comment from Army of T. Sorry, I was saying your name wrong. Army of T. Saying, this is why I buy NETGEAR products. What other company does this for their customers? Well, we're glad you're having a good time. We love doing this. It's a good way for us to, you know, not go crazy locked up in our houses. So I'd like to hang out with you guys. Army of T.
And a shout out to Mike Tonelli. I've been working with him offline. So good to see that you're back watching the show again this week.
Oh yeah, he was having the issues with the extender, right?
Yep.
Were you guys able to figure it out?
They unfortunately, no, in his situation, we were running across a lot of complications.
Gotcha. Well, at least he got some offline support from our resident expert here. Cool. So, what was I about to say? Oh, Army of T. The email address is right under my name. I put it on the video because I can't put it in the chat because I'm not actually logged into the NETGEAR channel. But yeah, it's right under my name, so you can just copy that exactly and put hashtag stay connected in the subject line. Cool. So, question from Young Will. When is the Nighthawk AX8 modem combo being released? Well, you'll be happy to hear that it has been released. It's the CAX80. So look up the CAX80, and that's exactly what you're looking for. It should be for sale on the website, I think. I hope we released it. Otherwise, I'll get in trouble for saying that we did. Cool. So another question from R. Samel or Somel. I apologize. I don't know if this is the norm, but when working from the NAS, when copying large files, it is considerably slower than, say, doing this directly on the laptop. Am I missing some settings?
Yeah, I would say no, you're not. The NAS box that you have is one of the lower end NAS boxes, and it really doesn't have a lot of processing power or memory. So when you're actually working from the NAS, there's going to be a fair amount of slowdown because of it not really having enough power to be able to do operations quickly. With a faster NAS, you probably would notice that far less, but definitely with that series of NAS box, it's gonna you're gonna feel the pain when you're trying to do stuff directly on it.
Yeah, totally. It's kind of like when you explained it, I was thinking, like I have CarPlay, Apple CarPlay on my car, and all of the processing is on my phone. But if I were to have the car process stuff, it would crawl because it doesn't have a powerful computer. So I think it's kind of just who's doing the work in that scenario. When you're transferring from
Yep.
your laptop's doing the work. But if you're just doing it within the NAS, definitely slower. So.
Yep, and I believe that the 104 only has an ARM CPU chip in there, dual core. So compared to any laptop nowadays, it's going to be like a VW Bug next to, a Audi on speed and power.
Totally. All right, we have another one of our cherished regulars. We have Adalberto back in the chat. What's up, Adalberto? Welcome back. Hope you've been doing well and staying safe. He's out in New York, so our thoughts go to you. He says, hi, hope all is well. Good news, my internet issue got fixed and now I have 1 GB service. However, it's not what I was expecting. 1 GB on a coax cable with a DOCSIS 3.1 modem. Frowny face. Sounds like it's working. What's the, oh, let's see. I tried to do bridge mode, but I can't even access my ISP router portal to change the settings or even change the Wi-Fi name. Maybe it's because it's still being processed or something. Okay, so it sounds like he's not using our modem, he's using their modem. I think I remember him mentioning that he has to use their modem.
Right. And we were hoping he could put that modem into bridge mode. Usually with things like that, you have to actually talk to your ISP and they can tell you whether or not they'll even let you get into their modem to do that. Some of them will, some of them won't.
Got it. Yeah. Let us know what the model is. Maybe one of us can look it up and try to do some troubleshooting here for you. But yeah, I mean, more and more ISPs are getting more and more strict about using their hardware, which is unfortunate. But whenever you're able to work around it, it's always worth doing. So hopefully we can figure that out because he got a RX 200, I think. He got the top of the line model, so it'd be a shame if he couldn't use it. How many Nighthawk mesh extenders can be added to your router? Theoretically, like 50, but it wouldn't perform too well.
I think we recommend no more than 3 based on like our Orbi requirements. You can do it. It's just we say the performance is probably going to degrade if you add more than 3. And also, Alec, I think you want to retract your CAX statement about it being out.
Oh, it's not out yet?
No.
Well,
okay, that product doesn't exist. Erase tape, cut it out.
Oh, look, we have Angela in the chat. Well, there's the email if you want to copy and paste it. My apologies for the preemptive announcement. Okay, let's see here.
The page is there for all the specs, but it's just not out to buy yet.
Oh, okay. So it's been announced.
Yeah.
So I'm not in trouble.
Yeah.
But it's not out yet.
No.
So hopefully it'll be coming out soon. If we've announced it, you know, typically it'll be relatively soon. But I know we have a lot of questions about the M5, and that's another one that we have announced, but it's not out yet. Oh, hi, Christine. Looks like Christine is on the NETGEAR channel. Well, thank you, Christine. I really appreciate that. All right, so looks like the next question is a question about the AX80. I have the AX80, and it occasionally disconnects Wi-Fi to a couple devices randomly. Noticed it starting after turning on QoS and multi-use media. I don't know what that stands for. MIMO.
MU-MIMO. That's the way to say it.
MU-MIMO. Okay. Any ideas or maybe a firmware update in the future?
Darren, isn't there a beta firmware for the AX80 that we were testing currently?
I think so. Let me double check with someone on that. But but he said it happened after he turned on QoS, which is maybe.
Yeah, that might actually just be sheer coincidence. The best way to find out is turn both of those off and see if the issue goes away completely. But I'm guessing that's probably coincidental by turning those on that each started to have random disconnects.
Gotcha. And we have a repeat question. It's the third time we've got this question. And
it must be really important.
It's an important question. Everybody wants to know, will NETGEAR come out with a gaming router with the new AX technology? We know you guys want it, and that's all we're going to be able to say right now. We know you guys want one. So, all right. This is a good kind of fundamental core question for our viewers that might want a deeper understanding of networking here. From CJ, can somebody explain what the difference is between a modem and a router, and is it necessary, and the necessity to use both? I misread that, but you guys get the point.
Yep. Well, I'll jump in on that. First of all, is it necessary to use both? Yes, it is. You can have them as separate components, or they can be merged into something called a gateway, which basically means it's both a modem and a router combination. And the differences between them are, all the modem really is it's a way to translate the connection from your the internet and your service provider down to something that can be used on a local network. So when it's talking back and forth with your ISP out to the internet, it helps translate the communication between them and your whole network. So once it finishes the translation, then from there, it goes out to your local network. If you didn't have a router, all you could do is plug, say, a laptop directly into your modem, and it would get an IP address, and it would be able to talk out. But that would only be a single connection. So what you do is you then take the router, you connect that up to your modem, and now the router acts sort of as like a master controller or a policeman in an intersection, talking to all of your devices in your home. So it's pretty much ends up being taking the modem and turning it from a one-to-one to a one-to-many. And so that's one of the biggest reasons why you have those two separate pieces. Also, with routers, they can add a lot more functionality into them that modems wouldn't normally have, like having a Plex server on it, like our R9000 has, like our gaming routers, where we have the Doom OS. So there's a lot of things you put into a router that you don't put into a modem because it's really just supposed to be that translation from the internet to your local network. Darren, anything else to add?
No, just to follow up, if you're having issues with the RAX 80, send us an email with the Stay Connected. Christine does have a beta firmware for that customer.
Cool. That's always my favorite part of every stream is when we send somebody beta firmware. Because where else are you going to get that, you know? Only here, live on YouTube. All right. Well, I think that that's kind of just a good lesson for everybody to get, and I like these fundamental kind of core questions because I think that you know, we can always answer product specific questions, and that's great, and that's kind of the main purpose of the stream. But a little bit of this kind of more broader home networking education, it's great content for you guys to learn about. You know, I learned stuff too on here. I'm the newbie of the group, so. Cool. So we got to follow.
And I have an additional comment to Aldoberto's follow-up there. He mentions that when he connects the Nighthawk AX12, it gets a warning message with his IP that it'll interfere. If that's the message that I'm thinking of, which most likely it is if he's trying to set it up, all that messages is it's a warning to say that the subnet that it's using for your local network, all the devices that would be in your local network, is the exact same subnet that would be given out by the LAN port off of your modem. It's only a warning, and what it's really telling you is it's going to change its subnet to something different than that default one. And that's normal. It's not a problem. You should be able to go by that message, and it's going to change it to a different IP scheme that your local network can have. To give an example, normally the default IP scheme that you have for your local network is 192.168.1 and then X, 1, 2, 3, 4. If your modem is putting out that exact same IP address, a router can't have the same scheme on the WAN port and the LAN port. So it'll go and change the IP scheme on the LAN port to something different. Sometimes it'll be like 10.0.0.x, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's just a warning to let you know it's switching that scheme, but it's not something that would stop it from working. And that's actually what it does during the setup process. And once it switches over, then you don't even have to think about it. So that should just be a warning message, and you should be able to still walk through the setup on the Nighthawk router.
Yeah, and as you're mentioning that, I'm thinking to myself, you know, it's a DOCSIS 3.1 gateway. You know, maybe when it switches that over, it might even just put itself into bridge mode. Maybe.
No. Normally with the bridge mode, that's an actual manual selection. That's not something that it'll automatically do. But this is just to make sure that the internal IP addresses that you have on your local network don't have the exact same scheme as the WAN side of your router and what's talking to the modem. And that's normal with networking. It's not something to worry about. But it was just telling you it's changing in case you happen to have a static IP that you wanted on a device in your local network, and it's saying, well, we've just changed our IP scheme, so it may not match up with that static IP. For 99% of the time, though, you don't have to worry about it at all.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay, we have a question from Maya here. Why am I only getting kilobytes per second? Let us know what your hardware is, kind of just overall what your home network looks like, and we can maybe pinpoint an issue. My first guess would be it's probably a modem or a router being just a little outdated.
Yep, and also where she's actually seeing that, because there are some devices that for some reason show your speed in kilobits per second, even though you'd figure megabits. You end up with like 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. And I'm not sure why some devices, they haven't switched that over. If it's from your phone, though, yeah, you definitely should be seeing something better than kilobits per second.
Definitely. Question from Ulaganath, who's asking when certain products are going to be available in India. We can't say for sure, and if we knew for sure, we wouldn't be allowed to say. So, sorry about that. Question from Vortex Madness, who has an RAX 80 and his port forwarding port keeps no it's not showing up anymore. And let's see. It looks like, yeah, he followed up kind of with a similar question, wondering if there's going to be a bug fix for this.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about that particular bug, but it sounds like he's saying that he's putting his port forwarding information and saving it, and then at some point that information goes away. And that is definitely something that should be looked into. And I'd recommend that he contact the NETGEAR team at netgear.com email address so that we can have someone contact him or her and look into it a little bit more.
Yeah, my follow-up question on that is if it's just a display bug, is he able to go in and test to see if that port's still open after he's port forwarded it and it just disappears, or is it just not even open the port at all when he inputs the information?
Yeah, so a little more information on that would definitely help.
Okay. Question from Fletcher McNair. Loves wired connections. We all do. Big advocates for it. What mesh systems have wired backhaul capability aside from a satellite being out of range? Is there a benefit of using a wired backhaul?
The answer is Orbi, and yes, there is. Orbi supports wired backhaul to its satellites, and using a wired backhaul, a lot of it has to do with range. Is that when you're doing your wired backhaul from your router to your satellite, then any interference that you would have had between the router and the satellite, if it was going wireless connection, is gone. So you've removed that one obstacle. An example would be my router is in the center of my home, and to go outside into my yard, it's got to go through 3 walls. Well, if I use a wired backhaul from my router into the other room into a satellite that's on the interior wall to my yard, it's only the signal from that satellite only has to go through 1 wall, and there's no additional degradation in signal because it's also having to do the wireless back to the router. So yes, wireless backhaul, if you can do it, is great, but it does mean you have to be able to actually run a cable.
Got it. Okay, cool. So hopefully that helps you out. Another question from Voodoo. Let's see. I know this works, but is it optimal to have a gaming router plus add an additional Orbi satellite as an access point? Really just depends on if you need it. If you are not getting good connection to your router, then yes, it would be good to have an additional access point. If you're getting low bars, there's too much distance. But I wouldn't necessarily suggest putting an Orbi in satellite mode. You can. I think universal satellite mode is something that we've put on all of the Orbis. But if you have an XR router, I'd probably go with a Nighthawk extender. I know we sell a kit that has an X6 along with an XR300 or XR500, that is. And you can basically just build that yourself. If you have an XR500, just you can just get the X6 if you find that you need it. But that's only in the case that you're not getting good enough connection from certain areas of the house. We're all busy. We're busy people. Okay.
Yep, sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
But I'm powering that off, so it'll shut up.
No worries. Okay, so Adalberto and Mike kind of had a little conversation about logging into Adalberto's AX12. Another possible solution for you, Adalberto, is if you are connected to the RAX 120, going to routerlogin.net should reroute you to the correct IP address to get into the settings. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Cool. Yeah, because as Michael mentioned, it's not going to be that default 192.168 blah 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 because you plugged it into your gateway.
Right. Yeah. Normally the default is 192.168.11. But because you plugged into your gateway, it will have switched that over to one of like 3 other possible IP address schemes. So yes, if you put in routerlogin.net, that should automatically redirect you to the admin screen to log in.
Cool. Question from Vortex, who was asking about the port forwarding. We made a suggestion to him. I don't remember the suggestion exactly, but he said that that's something that he's already done. The port is there, but showing up. Port is there, but showing up as you can try putting port in again, saying already there. Sounds like it might be some sort of bug.
Yeah, if I'm reading that correctly, it sounds like it's a GUI problem where the port is no longer showing up in the listing of ports that have already been forwarded. But when he goes in there and tries to do it again, it says he's already done it.
Got it.
Yeah, and so yeah, I would definitely say email the NETGEAR team at netgear.com so someone can look into that more, because that does sound like a bug. It may just be a visual GUI bug, but it definitely does sound like a bug.
Got it. Yeah, so definitely go ahead and send an email over to our tech support email. It's underneath my name here on the stream, and if you put "stay connected" in the subject line, we'll know that it's from StreamViewer, and we'll kind of expedite the process a little bit. Question from Noel. Hello, do you know when NETGEAR will be releasing Wi-Fi 6E routers? No, but it's going to be a while. We answered this question a little bit earlier, but to reiterate, just because there's a chip for it doesn't mean it's going to become standard anytime soon. Wi-Fi 6 has been the buzz for a while now, but it only came out recently. So these things take time to actually make it into consumer products, and obviously NETGEAR, we do have a very big consumer-facing part of our brand, and so I'm sure when it becomes standard, we'll be there, and we'll have the biggest portfolio, the fastest, but not anytime soon. Probably at least a year or two. What is a good mesh or Wi-Fi extender to use with my XR700? My house is 2,400 square feet. So probably just need one. I'd say probably just need one extender. And if you have the XR700, I'd go with an X6 or an X6S, just whichever suits your budget better.
Yeah, one of the X6 ones, like the EX7700, which is tri-band, would work very well with the XR700.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Question from Dan, who is one of our repeat viewers. So welcome back, Dan. Thanks for tuning back in. Is Doom OS going to be available on all NETGEAR Nighthawk AX routers, and what would the benefits be? So this is something we talked about a little bit earlier, but Doom OS is only available on our XR routers, which are our gaming routers. It's a very gaming-focused software, and that's kind of what differentiates our brand for the gaming brand. If we just give it to all of the routers, we really wouldn't have a gaming brand. So that's kind of why, but this is like, I think the fourth or fifth mention of Doom OS with Wi-Fi 6. We know you guys want it. That's all we're going to be able to say right now. We know you guys want it. We hear all the comments, so stay tuned. Let's see. Shady Joker. I also stream. What can I do to help my stream strength? YouTube and Mixer.
Hey, that's a perfect question for you.
For me? All right. Well,
yeah.
Hopefully I can answer it well. Basically, I don't remember if you said you had an XR router, but if you don't, I would highly suggest an XR router for streaming and gaming in general, because of those Doom OS features. You're going to be able to very easily prioritize the device that you're streaming from. So for me personally, this stream today, I'm streaming off of my MacBook wirelessly. My router is downstairs, and I do not have a cable going down my staircase. But I'm able to prioritize the device on Doom OS and give it more bandwidth than my other devices. So there's not going to be that conflict of fighting for bandwidth. This computer is the priority. I think that's really important for streaming. And then obviously, if you're streaming, you're probably gaming, unless you're like eating an absurd amount of food or something. I know that's another popular stream these days. the mukbang. But if you're gaming, it's really great for gaming. I think the big features for gaming are going to be geo filtering, which is soon to be geo fencing, which is an awesome new feature on Doom OS 3. You can basically hand pick areas that will be whitelisted on your router, and then everything else is going to be blacklisted. So you can hand pick which servers you want to connect to in certain games, or hand pick local areas for player hosted games to keep it all close to you and really assist in ping. So if you want to go back and watch that stream that we did on Tuesday, there should be a VOD, a recap on our channel. It was the Doom OS 3 stream, and we talked all about the new features. We had Luke Barlow come in from the UK. He stayed up until midnight for us, so shout out to Luke if he's ever going to see this. But he's the CEO of NetDuma, which makes the software, and he great resource to be talking about, the software. He has the best of the best knowledge. So short answer, XR router. Okay, question from Voodoo. Is the AD technology going to go away? And is Wi-Fi 6 the next big deal?
Well, to answer the first question, no, AD is not going away. It's a very niche Wi-Fi technology that has limited applications, mainly because the frequency on AD is so high at 60 gigahertz that it doesn't like going through objects. So for instance, if you're using it in a room, your AD signal is not going to go through the walls into the surrounding rooms. One of the areas where they're looking to use AD technology now is for the wireless VR headsets. Because it has so much bandwidth, they can use that and remove the wire to the wired VR headset. So that's one of the big areas where the AD technology can still be used, and it maximizes its strengths. And yes, Wi-Fi 6 is the next big deal, and pretty much everything's going to be moving to Wi-Fi 6 over the next couple of years.
Cool. So I was gonna say, I was watching this video that was like possible leaks for like these new Apple glasses, and they said they were gonna have Y like Y protocol on them so that you could or I think they meant AD. I don't know what Y is, but basically AD on the glasses so that your phone is the brain, which is like in your pocket, and then your glasses are just basically a display. And
Yep.
that was kind of another use case that I thought, this makes sense for a high frequency Wi-Fi protocol.
Yeah, anything that's doing VR or with the Apple glasses, they're AR, which means being able to superimpose images but still see the real world outside. And yeah, they're still working on that sort of thing. There have been a few companies that have tried doing AR, but it's very limited applications. One of the cool ones, though, they have been doing it for is medical students. They have AR systems where they can see a whole human body sort of floating in front of them, but still see around them, see the rest of the students and so on. And they can interact with that, that virtual body. So there are some definitely cool things that are coming out with that technology.
Cool. Follow-up from Vortex Madness said that he emailed us about a month ago and hasn't heard back. We mentioned emailing the email that's on the screen underneath my name. And if you put hashtag stay connected, one of our managers is watching the stream and is kind of on standby, so she can help you out pretty quickly. So go ahead and send us another email to that email address and put hashtag stay connected in the subject line, and we'll get back to you really quick. Adalberto says he's in. Do I need to change my AX12 to bridge mode, or should I wait until I can access my ISP portal to see if I can do bridge mode? The second one, you don't want to put your router in bridge mode. You want your router to be your router. You want to put your ISP device in bridge mode, which is basically just going to make it a modem and nothing else. And then your router, your AX12 will be your router, which is what you want.
Right, because if you put the X12 into bridge mode, basically you lose all of the extra functionality of it being a router, and then it's just acting like a dumb access point.
Mm-hmm. Totally. All right, I have a year-old Nighthawk router in my home. I want Wi-Fi in my shop, so I ran a 100-foot Cat6 cable to the shop. You're a champion for doing that.
Wow.
What product would you recommend for extending my home network to my shop? I don't think I've ever
Well, these aren't.
recommended the AirBridge on stream, but I would recommend the AirBridge. Probably.
Well, he's already run the 100-foot cable. So at this point, he's got a connection out in his shop.
Oh, I thought maybe he was trying to replace that.
So really, well, if you've run the 100-foot cable, there's no reason to replace it. I mean, that took a lot of work. But if he's already got the 100-foot cable in there, then pretty much any router or access point that you want on the other end will then give you your wireless connections and wired. I'd recommend just getting another router, connecting that in there, and then whatever devices need to be plugged into the router. But yeah, if you're looking for Wi-Fi, access point or a router in access point mode, if you also want wired connections, then another router. You could put a switch in there in an access point. There's a lot of variations, but you've now got the equivalent of having your internet line right there in the shop. Now you just have to decide what hardware do you want to connect up to it.
And I think we actually have a deal right now for an access point. I'm trying to find it. Oh, it's only if you bundle. I think he just needs one though, so I wouldn't really suggest that. But yeah, either of those, a router, an access point, those will all work. Just preference, really. Okay. I have two networks, and I'm trying to use my Silicon Dust Quattro tuner from a private network. Quattro is connected to my main network. Any ideas? I'm not really too familiar with that product. I don't know if either of you guys have heard of it.
No, the reason why he's probably not seeing it from his private network is that the tuner is probably designed to only broadcast out to your local network. And that's a way to keep from, spreading noise everywhere. So if he has two separate networks that are connected, basically two different subnets, it will probably only broadcast over one subnet. And that's the reason why he's not seeing it on the other network. And how to get by that, we do have some high-end business switches where you can actually create bridges between two LANs. I don't know on the consumer side whether any of our routers allow you to bridge between two LANs.
Might be worth
but I can tell you that's probably what's happening, is that it's designed only to broadcast in its local network, because otherwise you'd start spamming everything that your network connected to, even if it's not in your local LAN.
Question follow-up from him is, can I use a virtual LAN for this?
You'd still run across the same problem that with the VLAN, you've got to have all the devices in that same virtual LAN, the same subnet. You might be able to, I haven't tried it, but you might be able to bridge the subnets that way and be able to put it on the same VLAN.
Gotcha. Okay, a follow-up from Adalberto, who is going to try to do a bridge mode on the ISP gateway. For some reason, he did a speed test while connected to the AX12, and it's super slow, which is connected to the gateway. So, two things, and you guys know best, so let me know if you have any other suggestions. But if your gateway is not in bridge mode, there is likely a performance issue with it also broadcasting the router. Just the allocation of resources there is not only going into the modem, it's also going into the router. So, I think you're going to have decreased performance from that unit in and of itself. But on top of that, I would say that if you have your gateway broadcasting and your RAX broadcasting right next to each other, there's going to be massive conflict of signals there, which is really going to degrade the speed of your internet. So you really want to get that gateway in bridge mode, or move the RAX 120 as far away as you can, however long your cable is, move it away. But like I said, ideally, you want to get it in bridge mode. Okay. Question from Dynamenos, who's another repeat viewer, so thanks for coming back. How are you guys? I'm good. I hope you're good. I have the XR500 and I have a modem on bridge mode. I play Warzone on PS4, and when I play with friends and I am the host, for some reason I get random freezes. When I play alone, I don't have this problem. Can you help? I have to change some settings? Question mark. Well, I
That's
would,
kind of odd.
yeah, I would say try to hardwire if you can to your router. It's always best if you're hardwired. We have run into a lot of issues with PS4s and their connectivity not being the greatest. Hopefully, it's something that's going to be fixed in that upcoming PS5 announcement on I think it's on Thursday next week. They're going to announce all the features of the PS5, so hopefully they update it. But yeah, I'm just thinking, like, why is it only when you're host? It might
I'm
be. Yeah, what's up?
guessing his friend is outside the geofilter or something like that, because when he plays alone, he doesn't have the problem. But if his friend is pinging really high, which is really weird.
Yeah, I'm thinking it might be like, I know Call of Duty has like massive like lag compensation. Maybe somebody's lagging in your game and like their compensation is affecting your gameplay. I don't know. I mean, another possibility is something's up with your modem. It sounds like it is a gateway, which you probably got from your ISP. Those tend not to be the nicest units. Um, I always suggest having your own modem, not only for quality of the product itself and speed, but just owning your own hardware. You're going to end up saving money on rental fees. But yeah, I don't really know what to say. He says it's like a lag spike. There's a lot of things that could be. Try turning off GeoFilter. That I think that's a good suggestion. Okay, let's see. Voodoo asks, if I run a direct connection on my gaming rig, will there be any difference between using a NETGEAR gaming router and a standard router as far as latency, or it just comes down to the features? Well, yes. So you're not going to
Well, the
be.
first answer is yes. Yes, it will make a difference. NETGEAR gaming routers with the NetDuma OS, you have a lot more control over features than you do on just a standard router, even for latency. The anti-buffer bloat's a good example of one of the features that NetDuma has specifically designed to help bring down that latency. So there definitely is, big differences between one of our pro gaming routers and a standard router.
Yeah, I'd say really the only. Yeah, I was gonna say really the only feature that you're gonna be losing, and when I say losing, I don't say that as a bad thing because you're hardwired. You're gonna be kind of going over is gonna be QoS. You are hardwired, so you're not on the airwaves. You're not using any bandwidth because you're hardwired. So, a big pro, a big plus for the NetDuma software is that bandwidth allocation, because if you're wireless, you're going to be kind of giving more bandwidth to the devices that matter. But if you're hardwired, you're not even on those airwaves. You're just directly routed to it. So that's what you're going to be kind of going over when you're using a hardwire. But you still get all the other features like geofiltering, anti-buffer bloat.
Yeah.
I don't have it open right now, but there's more than just 2 features, I promise you. Plus, there's even more coming in Doom OS 3, so I would definitely suggest going to check out that video we posted on Tuesday with all the Doom OS 3 features. That's a great way to see what you're going to be getting. A really cool one that I think is going to excite everybody, not just gamers, is I think this is the first router. All the XR routers after this update will be the first routers on the market to have native ad blocker. It's going to block ads on the router itself, which is really awesome.
Excellent.
Awesome for us, not so awesome for AdSense, but Who has a tactical keyboard? What brand? I hear it on the stream. I think all of us do.
Oh, sorry, that's mine. Yes. Okay, it's all of us, not just me.
I've got this little
The one that
tiny
I have is the Logitech G710.
Logitech G710. I have a happy hacking keyboard. I'm a keyboard nerd. Okay, let's see here. Any ideas how to set up IPv6 WAN with Bluetooth here in the with British Telecom here in the UK?
Yep.
I'm not from the UK. I don't think any of us are. That would be
Unfortunately, I don't have any experience with that.
That would be something you'd have to find on British Telecom's knowledge base. I'm not too sure. Last question from Adalberto. Feel free to ask more if you want to. Doesn't bother us at all. Is there a big difference between having a 1 gigabyte on a coax cable rather than a fiberglass cable? Or does the DOCSIS 3.1 modem improve the speed? It's kind of two separate questions. I don't know too much about fiber. Mike, you go ahead.
Yeah, the first question, no. If you're just looking at a gigabit, a coax cable can handle that speed as same way fiber can. Fiber can handle actually much higher speeds than the coax can. So if you're looking at multi-gig, then fiber might be better. And as far as the DOCSIS 3.1, that has more to do with the number of channels that it can use at the same time to bring the signal in and send it out. And so a DOCSIS 3.1 modem can often give you better overall speed performance than, say, a DOCSIS 3.0, even if both of them can handle 1 gig, simply because it gets to use more channels. And especially if you live in neighborhoods where there's a lot of people and a lot of congestion, you'll notice a big difference on that. Even on my home network, I was using a DOCSIS 3.0 modem, and I had a ISP plan that gave me 150 megabits down. And when I switched over to the DOCSIS 3.1, it went up to 175. So I was actually getting more than what my ISP plan was. So often it can actually give you more speeds.
Yeah, I have the exact same kind of customer story. I have a CM 1200. And yeah, same situation. I pay for 150 and I usually get around 200 down. So I think that the marketing for fiber is a little bogus, at least on a domestic level. You know, yeah, if you get fiber, you can get 10 gigabit speeds, you know, in theory, but no ISP is providing that service. I mean, I think most of these ISPs are maxing out at 1 gigabyte, at which point a coax cable serves you perfectly fine. I think fiber is more so for servers, data centers. It's not something I really see that often at a domestic level. I mean, it would work totally, but it's just not something you really see that much. So yeah, I'm not really on that fiber hype train quite yet. As just kind of a casual user, I don't really feel like it's too necessary.
Yeah, and we're not up to the speeds really. We're maxing out the use of fiber right now. We're using the bare minimum of fiber for people that are getting the 1 gig connections off of them.
Yeah, totally. Question from Angel. Any good 10 gigabit switches?
If you're a gamer or just like a really cool looking switch, I can recommend the SX10 gaming switch, pro gaming switch. And that has 2 10 gigabit ports and then 8 more of the standard 1 gig ports. Looks cool, and I use the 10 gig ports to have a direct connection between my PC and my ReadyNAS that has a 10 gig port on it. If you need more ports than just 2, then you're going to have to look at a business level product. And NETGEAR has tons of managed switches, and there's quite a few of them that support 10 gig, but they're going to be a lot pricier.
Totally, yeah. If you want to check those out, I'm only plugging this because I worked on it myself, so I'm really proud of it. But we just launched a business storefront. So if you want to go to store.netgear.com, you can navigate over to the business storefront and check out all the products we have for sale there. or you can just look at how beautiful it is, because I think it is beautiful. But I'm highly biased. Okay. Got a question from Geo here. I recently purchased a Nighthawk M62 and connected it to my ISP BGW210 router. I have yet to put the Nighthawk in bridge mode. I am not using the Nighthawk by doing this. I just want to get the most from this Nighthawk. Okay, well, you got the right idea. You want to get the most out of what you paid for. Do not put the Nighthawk in bridge mode. That is the opposite of what you want to do. Then it becomes kind of just a dumb access point, as Michael mentioned earlier to Adalberto. But you want to put your gateway into bridge mode, which is basically going to just convert it into a modem at that point. And it's going to stop broadcasting. Something I mentioned earlier is if you have two wireless access points broadcasting right next to each other, it's really gonna they're gonna clash. So you wanna definitely put the gateway into bridge mode and leave the Nighthawk as it is, and then set up your access, your extender wherever you need it to be. I believe, actually no, I know that what's really awesome about the MK62 is that the extender and the router are pre-paired, right? Which is so nice.
Yep.
You don't have to go through that whole WPS. It's a finicky connection. It's not even like a NETGEAR problem. It's just in general, it's hard to get them to connect perfectly. But it's already paired out of the box, so there you go.
Yep.
Got a question from Michael. What was the Logitech keyboard you said you had?
Yeah, it's Logitech G710 right there. Great keyboard, nice, solid mechanical keys. The best way to go.
There you go. Those things last forever too.
Oh yeah. In fact, my very first mechanical keyboard, the company, when it finally died after me spilling stuff on it easily a half dozen times, I decided, well, I'm going to replace it. And the company that had made it went out of business, and they sold the business to another company. And the keyboard quadrupled in price when it went to the other company.
Oh no, what was the keyboard?
So needless to say, I didn't buy that mechanical keyboard again.
What was it?
I can't even remember the name brand, but that keyboard, I could have beaten a buffalo with it. It was that solid.
There you go. All right. So we have a NAS question, which is probably our weakest field of knowledge, but we'll do our best. Would you recommend any good network attached storage? I have, God, I don't know what it's like the 4 series, like 420 something. I don't remember. But it's like the black ones with the glossy door. I love it.
Yep. Yeah, it really depends on how much storage space you want, and also how fast a port you need to have on the back. All of them have ports that'll support 1 gig, but the 6X series also has ones that have 10 gig ports on them. And then it comes down to how many drives do you want. I recommend no less than 4 drives, because if you get one of the lower end NAS boxes, like the 100 series NAS for the Ready NAS that NETGEAR sells, that only has 2 drives, which means you can only put it into either mirrored mode, where you're just mirroring 1 drive to another, or JBOD, where it's just a bunch of drives, so you're not really getting the extra benefits of a NAS box. So if you have at least 3 drives in your NAS box, you can put it in RAID 5, which gives you extra redundancy in case one of the drives actually dies. And more bays beyond that just means it expands the amount of storage that you have. I currently have up on my rack here, what is it? 2 4 bays and 1 6 bay NAS. And I can say the 6 bay I like the most because I have the most storage in it. But it really depends on how much space you need and how big of a pocketbook you have. But the Ready NAS line of NAS storage boxes, all of them are excellent to have. I've used them pretty much all the way up from the 100 series on.
Yep. Christine linked all of our Ready NAS products in the chat if you want to go ahead and check those out.
Cool. Okay. So I think we're caught up. It only took us an hour and 20 minutes to catch up.
Hey, not bad.
It looks like Geo is going to take our suggestion, so let us know if that works, Geo. It should work. The MK62 is one of our top selling products. It's really performed great. I like it. You know what? I'm gonna ask a question. I'm about to move to a like 2,000 square foot home. We want Wi-Fi 6. What do you guys think I should get? It's got 2 floors.
2 floors. Well, it depends also on where your internet drop is in the house. If it's 2 floors and your internet drop is in the center of the house, then you probably the AX120 or 200. If it's in a corner, which is usually where they put the internet drops, then you probably want to get one of our kits so that you have the mesh extender to go along with it.
Yeah, it's a very tall house. I'll put it that way. It's like the floor plan isn't too. It's a very square, but it's got 2 floors.
Yep.
And the floors are like high ceiling. So yeah, I think an extender would be best. It is in the corner of one of the floors, but the floors themselves are pretty small, but the 2 stories are very tall. So I was thinking
Yep.
maybe the RBK 762.
Oh, okay.
I think that might work well.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea. Yeah, the high ceilings in those rooms shouldn't be a problem because the open airspace isn't really going to affect the signal much.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I do think that wouldn't be a bad selection.
Cool. Yeah, I'll have to see if that's what I want. I don't want to leave the NPG family though, so maybe I'll come.
Well, you can have both. I've got both in my house.
Oh, you mean like literally have 2
I've
different?
got the main. Well, yeah, basically the main router is the thing that controls the internet access. So you put your pro gaming router there, and then you're basically using any Orbeez as sort of satellites to be able to extend your signal farther. So you get the best of both worlds.
Gotcha. I'm excited. I've never like outfitted a home with Wi-Fi. I mean, obviously my apartment has a router, but that's it. It was really easy. So I'm excited to like kind of optimize like this new space. All my housemates are like, Alec, you better have amazing Wi-Fi. Like you work for NETGEAR. Like if it's slow, it's all your fault.
Right.
So I gotta put my experience to the test here. But yeah.
Well, just remember, if they have any problems, always blame it on their gear. It's not your network. No, it's their laptop. It's their phone.
Oh,
really,
yeah,
they just need
totally.
to upgrade.
That's what I say because my current roommate, I'm like, whenever anything is slow, I'm always just like, it is not the router. There's no way it's the router. You're doing something wrong. Oh man.
Yep.
Okay, looks like we have another question from I can't pronounce your name. I think it's an assortment of letters. But anyone know where I can get another Orbi satellite? RBS 850. The NETGEAR buy online link is dead, and NETGEAR customer service hasn't answered the email request. Well, let's see if I can find it. I believe you just mean the RBS 50. I don't think we sell an 850. Let me look here.
Yeah, the RBS 850 is the add-on Orbi Wi-Fi satellite.
Okay. Let's look here. Orbi mesh systems.
And I was looking to see whether or not.
So it looks like for the RBS 850, we don't have that for sale natively on the site. That one is going to be something we have to find a retailer. This is something that we are looking to add to our store, but right now your only option is to find a retailer. So if you're trying to click buy now, you might be on an older page. I can't put this link in chat, but yeah, I can show my Chrome here.
Yep. And I did find the RBS 750 on Amazon.
So this is the RBS 850. There's no buy button.
Right.
That's the URL right there.
Yeah, I couldn't find the RBS 850, but the next one down is actually available.
Yeah. So yeah,
actually, I shouldn't say is actually available. It'll be released June 1st, so you'll have to wait about 3 days.
Yeah, it looks like RBS 850 or 750 right here.
Coming soon.
It says in stock where I'm looking. What happens if I add to cart? Let's see. It says I can check out.
Interesting. On which site?
NETGEAR store.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'm. It might be because I'm logged in on my like official NETGEAR account. I don't know. But yeah, both of those should be coming relatively soon. I know that the 850 is something that we've talked about adding to the site, so it should be coming soon. And then the 750, I'm seeing it now, but it sounds like it's supposed to be on Monday. Yeah. So.
Yep.
We have a comment from Vortex who says, "Thanks team, keep up the good work. I've been a fan since I got the NETGEAR 5-port gigabit Ethernet Smart Managed Plus, and he likes it a lot better than the TP-Link stuff." Well,
that's what we like to hear.
That's what we like to hear. But no hate on TP-Link, you know. They do their thing, we do our thing. All right. Any update, firmware or Nighthawk app update on the whole home mesh Wi-Fi 6 system MK63? So firmware updates are going to roll out incrementally as... Oh, I got a message from Christine that I'm looking at the 750. Yeah, Christine, I was saying that I can't buy the 850, but I can buy the 750.
Yep.
Yeah. But in any case, hopefully he'll get what he needs soon. Okay. Anyone know where I can get... Oh, wait. We just read that. Okay. Oh, sorry. Any firmware update on the Nighthawk app or the MK63 whole home Wi-Fi system? So firmware updates are kind of sporadic and as needed. So we don't have like a strict calendar for when we're going to update those. And I don't believe that we have any beta software to offer to our viewers for that particular device. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody who's listening. But Nighthawk app updates, similar situation where it's not on like a strict calendar of when we do update that app, but I would say that then the app updates are going to be more frequent than the firmware updates because the app... Sorry, I got some pings from Christine. But the app updates are going to be more frequent because it's a broader use case and it has more users than the individual products themselves. And NETGEAR as a whole is really focused on apps and services right now. So we are very focused on the Nighthawk app, and we really want to improve the experience there. Okay, question from a person that was asking about the RBS 850. Any other satellites work with that system? So I'm assuming if you want to add on another Orbi satellite, then that you probably already have an Orbi system, maybe the RBK 860 or the Wi-Fi 6.
Yeah, they were actually asking about the RBS 850, which is of course the Wi-Fi 6, and the RBS 750, which you were able to order, will also work with it.
I'm getting my nomenclature confused here. For some reason, I thought it was 583 instead of 853. But anyways, I'm assuming he has the Wi-Fi 6 AX 6000 Orbi system, so any Orbi will work.
Well, No, it's it has to be Wi-Fi 6.
Oh, you can't connect a Wi-Fi 5 satellite? I did not know
Nope,
that.
the Wi-Fi 5 and 6 currently do not work together. They're two completely different technologies, so the coding hasn't been designed for them to work yet. We are looking at that, in the future, but right now, no. Only Wi-Fi 6 routers and satellites work together, and so the RBS 750, the one that should be available. It sounds like you were able to order it on our NETGEAR store, and Amazon says it'll be available June 1st.
Got it. Okay, so the only ones he could use are the 750 or the 850. I didn't know that. Interesting. I thought that it was backwards compatible.
Well, the standards to talk to clients are backward compatible, but the units themselves currently do not work together.
Gotcha. I'm looking at our website. It looks like we have some sort of bottle of alcohol on the side of this banner. I'll have to let them know to change that.
Bottle of alcohol. Hey, everyone is supposed to be cleaning their hands, with, Purell. So bottle of alcohol sounds good.
Yeah, just, pour it out, scrub a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool. Well, it looks like we're caught up again. So, guys, we still have another 30 minutes, 20 or 25 minutes on the stream. So feel free to keep asking questions. We love to answer them. But, oh, I lied. We have another question. I totally missed your question from Angel. Just acquired the Nighthawk Mesh System MK63 for my parents. Any changes you could recommend out of the box for optimal performance? Well, I think the best way to optimize these devices is really where you're placing them. And Michael knows all about airwaves, so I'll let Michael answer that.
Yes. But yeah, that was what I was thinking, is because they're pretty much optimized to talk to each other already out of the box, the biggest thing that you can do is where you actually place the units. You definitely want to make sure that you're not placing any of the units inside a cabinet, on a shelf surrounded by books, things like that. You want them in the open air so they have the least amount of interference from walls and things right next to them. And in general, for any Wi-Fi device, router or satellite, the higher up you can put them, the better, because then they're going to have the least amount of obstacles to be able to get to the clients. So placement is the key. And also, since this is a mesh system, the placement of the satellite can make a difference. There's going to be better locations that you'll find in your home as opposed to worse locations. And that you can usually tell when you're setting them up with the lighting on the mesh system. It should be able to tell you whether or not it's actually getting a good signal from the router. But yeah, as high up as you can, not locked in by things, certainly not behind your desk like some people we've talked to. They've actually put their routers back there. And you can move the satellite around if it seems like you're not getting as good of a signal with the satellite in one location. Try moving it to another location, and you can test around the house until you find the optimal spot. But in general, there's nothing inside the unit you have to actually go and change for optimal performance.
Yeah, I mean, there's always things you can tinker with, but it's pretty well optimized out of the box. The settings are pretty much dialed in the way you should need them. Yeah, I mean, I just think placement is the number one thing. So,
Yep.
There you go. Okay, so now we're caught up for real this time. So usually Angela gives us some fun questions, but Angela's filming a video today. So he's not here. So I'm trying to think of a question here for you guys.
I got one for Michael.
I got a question for you guys. Oh, sure.
I was going to ask, back on the mechanical keyboard thing, did you ever own one of those original IBM
Darren,
mechanical keyboards?
I think you unmuted on Zoom. You're echoing a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, now you're good.
Now you sound much better.
Saying, did you ever own one of those original IBM mechanical keyboards that everyone swears by?
I actually had one of those in a office that I worked in one time. And that was sort of what got me hooked on the mechanical keyboards to begin with, because they were just so sturdy. And with me always drinking my sodas around my keyboard, I often knock things over. And having those, you can clean them out. I've taken the keyboards apart, blown them out. They continue to work. They're a champ until your fingers wear off or you can't read the letters on them. And I've had that happen where I've used them so much, the WASD keys were gone. Too much gaming.
Yeah, I mean, some of those IBM keyboards go for like 500-600 bucks these days because like everybody wants them and they don't make them anymore. They're like rare, they're coveted.
Yep. Well, they're classics, but the companies have come out with great mechanical keyboards since then.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I have a Toper one, and I really like it a lot. Um, it's been good. One of my buddies got hooked on the mechanical keyboard train as well, so we do like typing test battles. I typically win.
Yep.
How fast can you guys type? I feel like Michael, you probably type like a million words per minute.
Oh, you only wish I typed that fast. No, I'm a touch typist or non-touch typist. I use maybe 4 fingers and that's it. I can still do about 40 words a minute, but never actually became a touch typist.
Gotcha. What about you,
Yeah, I
Dan?
haven't really measured that in a long time, but probably around 40 if I had to guess. I'm not that fast of a typer.
My
Of course, I do have to admit the 40 words a minute is only after I've had enough caffeine.
oh yeah.
The
Otherwise
more
it's
caffeine,
like
the faster a typist I am.
otherwise it's non-existent. Yeah,
Yep.
I've been I'd say that I got a lot of my like typing speed from MMORPGs when I was a kid. And like you talk to people in the game, right? And so like
Yep.
when I was like 6 years old playing RuneScape, I was already trying to like communicate with people. So I got like a kickstart really fast on typing. So I'm at like 118. That's my top I've ever gotten is 118. But I really want to break
Oh,
120.
that's fast.
I know I'm in like the top
Yep.
3%. It was funny. Whenever I type at work, I'm a very aggressive typer. Like I hit the keyboard really hard, and I
Yes.
always feel bad.
Yep.
Like, am I being too loud? Like, am I being a nuisance? But then one time, Chris, who sits right across from me, he like stood up and he was like, "Alec, I love hearing you type. It just sounds really nice." And I'm like, "Cool. I'm glad it sounds good."
Well, that's when you add in the mechanical keyboard so you can add just that extra level of sound.
I know we've got Angelo on our side of the office, and he has like the MX Blues, and you can hear him from like upstairs. It's so loud.
Yep.
Shady Joker, thanks for the
Yeah, I have a
shout
question for
out.
you guys is what additional hardware have you installed since you've been stuck working at home?
Additional hardware. Um, I stole one of
Right.
those little
New
laptop
keyboards, new
stands
mice.
from work. So I have like
Ah,
a,
okay.
I have like a, my, this is my laptop that you guys are seeing me on, but it's like level with my monitor. So I've got an ultra wide
Yep.
monitor right here, and so I've got like my laptop, my ultra wide. I usually put like Slack and Skype on this one, and like Spotify, and then I do all my Photoshop work over here. But
I really haven't added
And I
anything.
basically got a new camera.
there you go.
I was tired of using the laptop camera, so I got a camera and a little tripod thing so it could sit on my desk without having to move the laptop over.
That's smart. Yeah, I'm excited to get back in the office. Right about when we were sent home, we had figured out a way to use my Sony as like the webcam for the show. So like I could actually use this camera like as the input for the tech shows. We did a couple with myself and Ben Acevedo in the gaming lounge, like right before we got sent home. But I'm excited when we go back, we could go into the studio and like do like a super nice show with like the high quality HD camera. So the show's gonna get a lot better once we're back. But thanks for tuning in,
Yes.
anyways. Looks like we got another question here from. I feel so bad when I say your names wrong. From Gyro. Do you have any specific channel for the 2.4 or the 5 gigahertz um, on the MK63? Um, if What's the process for allocating certain devices to certain channels? Because I know it's smart to allocate like IoT devices to the 2.4 gigahertz channel. You would do that, I
Yep.
guess, by splitting the signal, having two SSIDs, right?
Well, right. You'd split the SSIDs and then you'd put those low bandwidth use devices on the 2.4, the ones that are farther away from your router, especially like cameras, they tend to be on the outside of your home. So they're farther away from your router. You want them on 2.4, and a lot of them only support 2.4 as well. And if you're looking at specific channels, which is Jaro's question, if you're having problems with Wi-Fi interference, it helps to choose those channels that don't overlap with surrounding channels. Mm-hmm. And for the 2.4, the channels that don't overlap are the 1, 6, and 11. And for the 5 gigahertz, it's 36, 40, 44, and 48. And that just means that because they stick to their lane and they're not also overlapping on the channels next to them, they get less interference because they're not picking up stuff from the sidebands. But it just depends on whether you're actually having Wi-Fi interference. If you're not having Wi-Fi interference, then whatever channel you're on is not going to really make a difference. But those are the channels that only use their single lane, so you don't get noise from the sidebands.
There's no other show on YouTube where somebody will tell you which bands conflict with each other from memory. I'm very impressed that you knew that. That was like very specific.
Well, it's a very common question, especially in tech support when people are having Wi-Fi interference. The first thing you do is say, go to one of these unibands and see if you still have problems.
Okay, so another question we got is from Shady Joker, who asked about what router to get for his Xbox Series X. Also, do you work directly with any consoles or computers? We currently don't have any partnerships with like Microsoft or Sony or Nintendo. So no, if you're talking like from like a corporate relationship standpoint. If you're talking from a home use standpoint, our routers will work with all of those. So 2 very different answers. But if you're a gamer, I always suggest the XR series, and I think you mentioned streaming as well. I totally would suggest that for geo filtering, which is now going to become geofencing, QoS, anti-buffer bloat, application QoS is QoS is a new feature that we're coming out with that uses an algorithm to kind of identify what kind of device you have. So maybe you have IoT devices, you can change the IoT allocation to be less, and maybe you put your gaming devices to be more, and it has a smart algorithm to figure that out on the fly. Really, for you in particular, Shady Joker, I would suggest going and watching the stream we did on Tuesday. If you just go on our channel and go to uploads, you can see like the Duma OS 3.0 stream. And we had the CEO of NetDuma come on and talk about just the new features that are going to be coming out for that update, and it's the biggest update they've ever had for Duma OS since the beginning. And so it's really a good time to get an XR router with all those new features coming out.
That question just made me look up. I know they released the tech specs of the Xbox, the new Xbox coming out, but looking through it, I don't know that they listed if it had Wi-Fi 6 or not. It'd be good to know based on people.
Yeah, I actually saw the whole list of tech specs, and it wasn't listed on there.
Yeah.
I feel like it can't not have Wi-Fi 6 though. It's gotta have it. It's like becoming such a standard.
I would expect so. Yep, but I've looked at 2 different sites that have the full specs listed, and neither one of them actually list what their Wi-Fi spec is.
Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But if it is Wi-Fi 6, that's definitely something worth getting. So,
yep.
Yeah. Okay.
And it looks like a kick-ass machine when you look at the specs. Very nice.
I think it's so. I looked into this. I watched a YouTube video about this because obviously PC versus console is such a common argument, and everybody's really impressed with the Xbox One, and people are like, how'd they get it so cheap? Because if you wanted to build a comparable PC, it'd be more expensive. When Microsoft cuts deals with companies like NVIDIA or Intel for these individual parts, they're not just buying. I mean, when you go to Fry's Electronics and buy something, it's just you. They get one sale. When they sell it to Microsoft, they're getting like 1 million, 2, 3, 4 million sales for each of these chips. So they get a much, much more reduced kind of warehouse corporate price. And that's how they're able to cut it down to be so cheap, which is cool. That's one plus for a console, even though, you're not going to be able to upgrade it as easily and so on and so forth. Out of the box, it's a great deal. I might get one. I like the refrigerator look. I think it looks cool.
Yes.
It's getting some hate. I like it. I think it's cool. It's very modern, sleek, pushing the envelope a little bit,
Yep.
Let's see. Question from Ali, Edward King. Would the RAX 80 work with fiber? If you have a fiber gateway, then yes, you'd want to put it into bridge mode. But if you wanted to get a whole entire NETGEAR system, we don't have any fiber modems, so you would need to get the modem component of your home networking system from your ISP. But if you wanted to hook a RX 80 into that, it would work just fine. If it's in bridge mode, put it in bridge mode.
Yep.
Key detail. A lot of bridge mode questions today, more than usual. And I skipped a question from Bond James. I bought the CM1200. Will receive next week. Any advice with Xbox directly connected? You won't want to connect a device directly to the modem. You want to connect it to the router, and you can hardwire it to whatever router you have, and it'll work great. We tend to suggest hardwiring for gaming devices.
Yeah, whenever possible, because that way you remove any latency or interference in the Wi-Fi.
Totally worth doing. CM1200's that's our best modem. I have that and I love it. I just found it in the office. It was just sitting around.
It was just sitting there.
Just sitting there. It was like a lost lamb, and I brought it into my home.
Exactly.
And I gave it a router, and now it's happy, and I'm happy. Yeah, definitely hardwire to your router. Let's see. Shady Joker said he'll check out the XR 500 on Tuesday. Yeah, I mean,
cool.
It's a great router. It's kind of hard to fully understand the benefits of a router by just reading the product page. I think this is something that we struggle a lot with NPG is selling it. You could say it'll reduce your ping, but then people say how, and then there's a whole rabbit hole of information and reasons why. It's a big education curve, but if you're willing to take the time to understand it, Shady Joker, I think you'll really appreciate the benefits you can get from it.
Yeah. And James Bond says, I was thinking of connecting directly to the CM1200. You can connect directly to it, but then that means that's the only device that can talk out to the internet, which is why we're recommending hooking up to a router. If you do connect directly to the CM1200, what you want to do is power off your CM1200 and your Xbox, power the CM1200 back on, let it fully boot up, finish its boot up, then power on your Xbox, and it should give an IP address out to your Xbox. But it does mean that's the only device that's going to be connected to the internet.
I also think you might be a little bit confused seeing that the CM1200 has those extra ports that you can connect multiple devices to it. Those are for other uses. You only want to use one port on the CM1200 to connect a router so you can connect multiple devices in your house.
Yep.
Okay. So looks like Ali Edward King says that he has a modem and he plugs it into an RAX 80, but not bridge mode. Well, if your modem is not a modem router combo, if it's not like one device that does both, then you're set. You don't need to put anything in bridge mode. The suggestion I was making for putting the gateway into bridge mode was under the assumption that your modem component was kind of a combo unit. But if it's just a modem, then you're all set. No need to use bridge mode. Should be all set. Let's see. Bond James or James Bond asks.
And he's actually right there. Yes, it does have 4 ports in the back. And this is one of the cable modems or the gateways there, I believe, that, this is for multi-port address support. It'll support up to 4 home networks on it. So let's see, just want to make sure. So yes, it does actually have 4 ports, and he could plug directly into it.
I actually didn't know that. Well, now I have a better use knowledge of my my own product. So there you go. All right, guys. So it looks like Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go on.
I was just gonna say, it looks like we're winding down here. We got about 5 minutes left on the stream. Something we haven't been doing that we want to start doing is just mentioning, if you're enjoying the stream and you learned something and you want us to keep doing this, definitely drop a like. It really helps the video, gain traction, and it plays well with the YouTube algorithm. And we wanna make the show as good as possible. And if you guys drop a like, we know that you're enjoying it. So if you don't mind doing that, we really appreciate it. It helps us a lot. But on top of that, we're winding down to get those last questions in. We'll try to round it all off by answering all the questions. Looks like we got one coming in from Gyro or Jero again, who's having difficulty choosing between a CM1000 or a CM1200. That's the breaking point of DOCSIS 3.1. The 1000 is the last modem in the lineup that doesn't have DOCSIS 3.1. I believe so.
Actually, the CM1000 does.
Oh, is it the
the CM1000 is DOCSIS 3.1.
Okay, so that's the first one
right before that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
and between those two, I would recommend the CM1000 if you have your own router, because they're both DOCSIS 3.1, but the CM1200 is really designed if you happen to have multiple internet connections coming in. So for most end users, that's not the modem that they would be using, but the CM1000 gives you the same functionality as far as the DOCSIS 3.1 and is more designed for a standard home use.
Gotcha. Okay, well, that should answer that question. Looks like James Bond had another question. So yeah, one port to Wi-Fi and the other to the Xbox, correct? You could do that. That would totally work. Is there any benefit to connecting to the modem instead of just connecting to the router? I mean, I think ultimately it's just simpler to just connect it to the router.
Yeah, and also if you're connecting to the modem on one and router with everything else, they are on 2 different networks. So being able to have devices talk across the 2 networks often is problematic. Like the Windows Discovery system doesn't work across subnets. So it's usually best to have them all connected to the one router so they're basically in the same network.
Yeah, so basically anything that your Xbox is going to be communicating out to within your home via Wi-Fi, it's gonna cause problems. So James, I would really suggest hardwiring your Xbox to your router and not to the modem. If you're running out of ports on your router and you want to invest in a switch, that's one way to expand your wired capacity. So yeah, that should answer your question. We got a little note from Shady Joker here that he's going to come with a whole list of questions. We don't mind.
Yep.
That's what we're here for. So I think we got all the questions done. I think we answered everything. Got about a minute left, but to kind of close out the show, thank you guys for coming and watching the show. We wouldn't be doing this if we didn't have all you guys coming in and asking questions. It's a great way for us to interact with the outside world, and we enjoy doing it. Enjoy doing it as much as you guys enjoy watching it. So, yeah, I don't really have too much else to say. Do you guys have any closing notes for this one?
I just have to ask, how do we know all these people aren't AI bots and we're just being fooled?
Maybe they are, but in any case, I feel like I'm talking to real people, so it makes me feel good.
That's good enough.
Good enough for me. Yeah, anything to add, Darren, before we close out?
Yeah, Vortex, if you're still here, we did reach out, email, just to make sure that you got it from us. And also don't forget to like and subscribe to know when we're streaming. We do have tons of streams since the lockdown with all of our products throughout the week.
There you go. So, yeah, thanks again, guys. And we will be back next Friday, same time as always. And till then, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Yep. See everyone later. Take care.